Hi, Maria here. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm excited to share with you all the amazing fragrances that I wore this week, and I wore some amazing ones that I haven't pulled out in over a year. So I can't wait to share. But before I get started, if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Just go ahead and hit that button. Join the Weird and Wonderful family. This is an amazing community of diverse, fabulous people that you need to be a part of. If you already are a part of the community, thank you so much for your ongoing support. And without further ado, let's get into this. So the first fragrance that I literally haven't pulled out in a year, and I'm like, why? Why haven't I worn this, is Twilight Shimmer by Michael Kors. The stars of this show are definitely plum, oud, and praline. Now the plum is a deep, rich, luscious, almost too ripe plum. So it smells like it's so ripe, so sweet, so dense and you know, kind of juicy that it's almost going overripe. So that's kind of the plum. The oud is definitely a user-friendly or beginner-friendly oud. So it certainly isn't overpowering. It just kind of supports and grounds that plum. It helps it to keep it from getting too cloying, but it also adds a richness and a depth to this fragrance. There's also other woody notes in, but definitely the oud is there. But like I said, it's very, very mild. And then the other note that really comes through is the praline, and that kind of helps brighten the fragrance. If it was just kind of the plum and the oud, it would be really, really rich and dense and maybe a little too much, but that praline kind of lightens it, makes it a little bit more airy. This is just delicious. Now, it smells so rich and decadent, kind of like, you know, if you ate a really thick, rich dessert that was quite heavy, very sweet, and it was like, whoa, that was rich. That's kind of how this fragrance smells. So it smells really kind of thick, dense, rich. That's the only word that and I don't mean smells like money. I mean like smells rich and sweet and kind of thick somehow, not syrupy, but thick. So this is delicious. It's definitely more appropriate for the evening. So lots of fragrances I will wear during the day, and I never think anything of it. Like, I don't care if it's a sexy fragrance or whatever, but this one, for whatever reason, is more evening appropriate. I wouldn't want to be wearing this, you know, to work, but it's really a fun fragrance to wear just because it's kind of opulent, and yeah, the richness is just, it's a neat fragrance, and that plum is just so delicious in this. So love this fragrance. Glad I have it. The performance is moderate. You're going to get like 4 or 5 hours out of it. But yeah, really, really enjoyed wearing this. So the next fragrance that I wore was Lord of Misrule by LUSH. Now this fragrance, it has patchouli, vanilla, and black pepper in it. It actually smells like it has cardamom in it to me. So when I smell this, I think cardamom instantly. It's very, very spicy, very earthy smelling, smells quite natural. I think that's kind of LUSH's shtick. I don't think there's a whole lot of synthetic, fragrance in this. It's more based on the oils, so patchouli, vanilla, and so on. That said, I really, really like this. I like the way it smells in the bottle better than I like when I wear it. So when I wear it, like when I smell it here, I really, really enjoy it. I think that the cardamom, like there's a sweetness to this, like just a slight sweetness to this. So the cardamom doesn't smell overly green. Like, I know there's no cardamom in here, but that's how it comes across. It's got a sweet earthiness to it. Sweet, spicy, earthy is what I would say this one is. Now, the thing is that when it translates on my skin, it gets a little bit more patchouli heavy, smells a little more masculine than I really enjoy, even though I would consider this definitely unisex. So what I decided to do was pair it with something completely light and synthetic and ridiculous. And so I put it with Lolita LEMPIKA Sweet. Now this fragrance is just, it smells like cherry Kool-Aid, basically. Or like, I don't know if you guys remember the Licka sticks, but the cherry flavored powder of the Lick-a-Sticks. I think that's what they were called. That's what I call them anyway. But anyway, smells like cherry candy powder, basically. I really enjoy wearing this one, especially to bed. I find that the longevity is moderate, but for whatever reason, like it kind of lingers and just adds an like a little bit of kind of powdery sweetness, very candy-like, very girly, and completely the antithesis of this. So this is light, airy, sweet, synthetic. This is earthy, spicy, deep, rich. And so I thought, well, I'm going to just try the two together. Maybe the cherry will kind of complement it. This kind of got lost in the mix, so I don't know if it really did anything, but it kind of broke up, I guess, the depth that Lord of Misrule has. So would I recommend this? If you like patchouli, if you like a cardamom type feel, this is actually a great option. There is a sweetness to it. There's a warmth. It's cozy smelling, just a little too masculine for me. I don't know if I would wear it with this one again. I may try it again just because I want to see if it works, but really this overpowered. But like I said, this kind of broke it up, so it just made it a little more palatable for me. Now, I was feeling kind of down in the dumps one of the days, so I pulled out Girl of Now Shine. I've said before, this reminds me of a warm hug. The prominent notes in this one are pistachio, almond, and pineapple. Pineapple is more cooked. There's definitely orange blossom in this one. So if you like Girl of Now, the original, this just adds a little bit of brightness with the pineapple. I really enjoy both. I haven't decided which one I like better, but this one is definitely nice. The pistachio is a little bit lighter in this one, but you definitely get that almond. It's warm and cozy, but it doesn't go too deep, so it stays slightly airy somehow. The nuttiness just adds to that warmth, and yeah, I just find it really comforting. So Girl of Now Shine, great fragrance. Next fragrance that I've talked about a ton in the past, but haven't talked about it very much recently, is Fleur de Femme by Loreal. Now this fragrance, especially in Europe, you can get it for like $6. So it is the cheapest of the cheap. And the problem with super, super cheap fragrance prices is that a person automatically goes, oh, that must be garbage. like that can't be good if it's that cheap. This is good, even though it's that cheap. So I think you can buy it on FragranceNet if it's still available for like $12. Like usually if it's found on the gray market sites, it's like $12 or something around there. This, just delicious. Now, it's supposed to be kind of a dupe for Poison Girl by Dior. More and more, I would say this is just developing into its own fragrance. This is really quite rich. This one has cherry in it. There's orange, I believe. There's almond. The almond definitely comes out. So yeah, the cherry and the almond are kind of what rock in this one. It's very warm. It's sweet. This one is slightly syrupy. It's quite sexy, honestly. But it's not so sexy that I wouldn't wear this one during the day for sure. This one, the longevity, you get about 6-7 hours out of it. It's really, really a great quality fragrance, especially considering it's only $12. Like I've rated this in my top 10 for life videos. So this is definitely an excellent fragrance. I always enjoy wearing it. It feels slightly mysterious, slightly sexy, but also somehow warm and comforting. So Fleur de Femme by Loreal, great fragrance. Have you tried out any of the fragrances from Loreal? I've got quite a few, like I've got 5. If you guys want an updated video, I could give it to you. But I do have one. If you just type in my name with Loreal, there's a review on 5 of the different fragrances. So really, really enjoy this one. This one's definitely top in the Loreal world. But what about you? What are your favorite LOLITA fragrances? Put it in the comments. Next fragrance that I wore was Melag Perfumes Cherry Rose. I think the whole name is Very Cherry Rose Chocolate Patchouli. I love this fragrance. This has lychee and cherry in it. I think it's a black cherry. There's also rose. The rose is very powdery in this. So when I smell the rose, I definitely get powder. And then this has dark chocolate and patchouli. So it's a really fascinating fragrance because when you put like this fragrance definitely takes you on a journey. So when you first put it on, it feels kind of light and airy and almost like a Le Petit Robe Noir. Like it reminds me of the cherry in Le Petit Robe Noir. So it's just kind of light and airy, and very quickly that kind of dies down and you get this powdery soft rose. So the rose feels a little bit more vintage, I would say, a little bit more kind of, yeah, just a powdery rose. So that stays along, and the sweetness is still there from that fruit, but the rose definitely comes to the forefront. Then in about an hour to 2 hours, the patchouli and the chocolate starts to come up to the forefront. So the rose kind of backs off, the powder kind of backs off. You still get the rose, you still get a hint of that cherry, but then all of a sudden there's this beautiful patchouli, and it's not like a dirty animalic patchouli. To me, it comes across as a chocolatey, spicy patchouli. I love it. The more it dries down, the deeper and the spicier it gets. So it's a really fascinating fragrance. To me, this is a great fragrance if you want to put on something light for during the day and then want something that kind of moves with you and gets deeper and darker as the day goes on. This one is it. Like, this is such a morpher. So I find it to be very fascinating because I love it when fragrances develop and change. This is one of the most remarkable changes as it goes. So from going to that powdery, very feminine fragrance, when I smell it on the bottle, I'm getting the lighter side of this fragrance, but as it dries down, that patchouli and that chocolate just really coming out with some spices and almost a bit of earthiness, but not dirty, more spicy, chocolatey. So very, very cool fragrance. So glad I have this one in my collection. Yeah, and I'll have everything linked down below. So he is a independent perfumer that's based in Canada. So yeah, this is a great fragrance. Just really impressed with the way it moves and shifts and change. I just find that fun. To me, sometimes fragrance is like a movie. So, you know, some fragrances are really linear, but when you get one that kind of develops and shifts and changes, I just find that really fun because it's almost like a story. So really, really enjoy this one. The story that it kind of reminds me of is this young, innocent, almost like she's like a fairy princess and like that kind of thing where she's just so sweet and innocent and wonderful and everything's roses and beautiful. Little birds are singing, that kind of thing. That's how this fragrance begins. But then all of a sudden she gets hit with the realization that the world is difficult or whatever. She goes through this morph and almost becomes, you know, an evil queen, or, you know, like she enters womanhood and loses her innocence and becomes almost evil. That's what this fragrance kind of reminds me of. It goes from light and airy and powdery and everything's wonderful to deep, dark, mysterious, intoxicating. So very, very cool. Now the last fragrance that I wore, it's a combination. So I started with Pascal Morabito's Sultan Noir. Now this is definitely kind of an amber vanilla. There's apple in this one. There's incense. There's leather. I prefer this one over something like Ragba. This one, very affordable. Like I think this was $36 Canadian. So very affordable fragrance, but the incense in this one is less prominent and not as cold is the incense in Lattafa. So sometimes I find incense to be a little bit too, a little bit cold somehow in a fragrance. So in this one, it's just kind of under there. The leather definitely comes out. So if you don't like leather in your fragrances, steer clear of this one. But it's really delicious. I had put this one away for the whole entire year, haven't worn it since last winter. And for some reason, I just wasn't wanting to even try it. But as soon as I put it on my skin, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. But then I decided what would happen if I paired it with Pesho Yuzu by Kais. Amazing. So I would put this one on first. So this being the base layer, because it's definitely got the decadence and the heavy, like the heavier, you know, vanilla, like the base notes. This one has the leather, the vanilla, all of that. So put this one on first, and then I put on Pesho Yuzu. This one, the star of the show, is definitely the peach. This one also somehow feels like it's got some sort of pastry in it. So underneath that peach is this delicious, almost like a crispy, crackly, sugared pastry somehow. That's not listed in the notes, but that's what I get. So mixing the two of these together, this is slightly boozy too. Oh my goodness. Like, I couldn't get enough of this. I loved it so much, I wanted to put it on the next day. Like, I didn't want to put anything else on. I just wanted to put this combo on because it was so amazing. So this one is Full Up Gourmand, but pairing it with this one added a little bit of mystery with the leather and the vanilla and kind of that boozy leather vanilla, almost a little bit smoky. This was so freaking sexy. Like, I couldn't get enough of myself. Like, seriously, I could not stop sniffing myself. Like, I was in love with myself. I'm so in love with this freaking combination. I can't even tell you. Like, well, there are no words. Like, seriously, I'm in love with this. So if you have these two, try them. If you don't have them, I don't think, well, again, if you don't like leather, just don't do this at all. But seriously, so good. And like, Kais fragrances are affordable too. And I also have a coupon code for you. I don't make anything from the coupon code. I know I keep talking about it, but it's just a good deal for you. So coupon code down below. These are affordable as they are, but with the coupon, you cannot beat these fragrances. Love Kais perfumes. And yeah, this combination, this is my winter version of, like, in the summertime, I was pairing this with La Nuit Trésor Nude, which is a coconut vanilla. So loved the two together. This, like a leathery, smoky, spicy, seductive vanilla with the peach. No words, so good. And that is it. Those were my fragrances for the week. Definitely the star of the show was the Pascal Morabito with the Pesho Yuzu. Like, so just luscious, and it was interesting with the bit of smoke and leather in there, and intoxicating because of that peach and the crispy kind of pastry feel I was getting. Like, seriously. It was so good. Anyway, love that one. Like, I'm so pleased with myself. Can you tell? Anyway, what was your favorite fragrance? Please leave it in the comments. Would love to know. Other than that, I hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you soon.